does your faith guide you as a real estate investor? On this week's episode of the Aid to Assets podcast, my guest talks about how he is able to build a kingdom empire by letting his faith drive the steps that he takes and the decision that he makes. You don't want to miss this episode of the Aid to Assets podcast, where we talk with investors about how they built their real estate portfolios. And this one not only has paid off property in half the time, but has since moved on to then investing in commercial real estate. This is your Aid to Assets podcast. Welcome to the Aid to Assets podcast, the ultimate podcast for aspiring real estate investors. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson. Join me as we discuss real estate investing for 9-to-5ers. We'll talk about everything from money mindsets and property ownership and different strategies you can use to invest in real estate. I want to empower investors, especially those of us who are working full-time, who want to navigate the world of real estate, uncover the secrets to building wealth, generate passive income to achieve financial freedom. Equip yourself with resources from experts, practical tips, and step-by-step guides on how to kickstart your real estate journey. We'll also hear from 9-to-5ers who started to build their own portfolios, what they did and how they did it, so you can do it too. Tune in and transform your main job into your biggest silent investor in your real estate investment business. This is your Aid to Assets. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson. We're here. I get the opportunity to interview investors that have started and scaled their real estate empires, many of which are working full time. So we want to make sure that you know how they did it so you can do it too. So I am so excited about my guest today because he just got a little bit of everything. I can't wait for y'all to hear. So Rob, how you doing today?
I am doing amazing, Tiffany. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me on your show today.
Absolutely. It is wonderful. It is a pleasure to have you here. I can't wait for the people to hear more about your story and all the great things that you have going on in Atlanta.
Come on, let's go. It's been a fun ride and looking forward to it, and letting people know how even our paths have crossed to add to the storyline. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. So y'all go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button if you have not already. Make sure you have your notebooks. Y'all know we believe in taking notes around here. Note takers are change makers. So Rob, one of the things that we start out here on the show is we like to talk about receipts. So that way people know why they should go ahead and be tuning in. So tell us a little bit about the portfolio of yours.
That's coming right out swinging.
Absolutely.
I love it. So I have, so my first purchase outside of my primary residence here in Georgia, in Atlanta, was an event space that I purchased back in 2021. So I've had it a little over 2.5 years now. My 9-to-5 is in insurance. And so I was going to establish my own insurance agency out of that space. But I work for a known insurance agency, carrier here in Georgia with Allstate. And so things have been going well. It's a corporate opportunity. And so working in management there, and it's the agency that I'm a part of is doing really well. So I really didn't necessarily want to walk away from that at the moment. So I thought to myself, you know what? Real estate is always good. I've heard the adage, don't wait to buy real estate, then wait, right? So however it goes, you really can't lose. And so I purchased the building. And so I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So it kind of sat there for several months, 7 or 8 months. And then got a part of this community with other entrepreneurs. And somebody said, well, hey, I'll rent the space out for you, from you. So that kind of gave me an opportunity to not only cover the spread for the space itself, but then also at the same time give another entrepreneur an opportunity to come in there, shine a light on their vision and what they wanted to do in a brick and mortar location. I know a lot of people doing virtual these days. Again, if it worked, what may work for me may not work necessarily for someone else, and vice versa. And so gave that person opportunity to do that. They've done some amazing things with it, helping others across the community grow their vision and brand. So that was kind of my first one. And then I became a part of, I joined the Turkland Smith Property Challenge and became a part of the inner circle. Got involved in a few investments there. There is a property that right in the heart of New Orleans that she has renovated and is converting it to an Airbnb. And that's just about ready. So I was able to get in on that deal. And I think it's just one of those dreams of mine, Tiffany, that long term, I would like to do the same thing. I would like to take a space, apartment complex where I'm from or multiplex and be able to restore it, renovate it, put some other people in that space. And so I got in on that when I first got involved with her. Then she presented another opportunity for like a 60-door community where it was an apartment complex housing community with the housing authority of the city there in Louisiana. And that was really cool because, that's really close to my heart. Everybody needs a place to live. And so to be able to provide clean, well-established, built, facilities with putting on the roofs and giving people an opportunity to have a safe place to call home. So got a chance to invest in that. So that grew my portfolio and considerably with those 60 doors. And so that put me up to about 67 or so. And then I purchased a couple more residential communities, different parts of the Lafayette community. So I ended 2023, started 2023 doing that. And then midway through the year, early part of last year, going into the spring, got connected with an international investor that gave some individuals, some folks, the opportunity to invest for the first time outside of the States. I took advantage of that. That happened to be in Dubai. And lo and behold, the pitch was made, went over there to visit, had no intentions of buying anything. I'm just like, look, yeah, that looked good. Let me get on back to Georgia and continue on with my life and my humble abode. And it worked out. But I will say this, Tiffany, the kind of what kickstarted all of that off was through my primary residence that I purchased way back in 2005. So when I always have had the mindset of, you buy a house, you live in it for 30 years, 40, 50 years like your parents do. And, you do what you need to do. But I always kind of had the thought in mind that I wanted to purchase my primary residence, pay it off, move on to something bigger and better or, reinvest the proceeds. So that's essentially what happened. Purchased that one property right at about 125,000, stayed in it for 30-year mortgage on it, stayed there for about 15 years and ended up selling it for 250,000, somewhere along those numbers. So it worked out. And because my work had me moving to Atlanta and it was just a no-brainer for me, I wanted a fresh start. Atlanta's one of those places where, it used to be you had options of where you wanted to go and what you want to do in California or, Texas, New York, I'm gonna go up there. And then I think Dallas and Houston is still probably a destination place, but of course, Carolinas and Charlotte is always popping. But I think Atlanta is really a melting pot now. It's a cultural place of destination for so many. And it just all worked out. And I'm very happy to have made a life for myself here and be able to have investments to be able to fund, the vision that I feel like the Most High that God has given me. So super excited about. where I'm at right now.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. I love that. So y'all, I just want to make sure, because one thing about Rob is he real humble, real chill. And I love that for him. That's why I'm here to toot him up a little bit. So tell me again, what year did you buy your first primary house? 2000 and...
So 2000 in January 2005.
Okay. So January 2005, we are now in 2024. Rob is sitting on 68 doors, 67, 68 doors, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right around about 70 doors or so. Yes, ma'am.
Look at that. Y'all, all I want to say, and you've been working still full time the entire time that you've been doing this, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Working every day. I got an opportunity where I was able to start a business working. I started off marketing Medicare health insurance and started at scratch. Had no customers, got laid off from the job that I was on as a recruiter. So I needed to do something with my time, with my life. Like to keep lights on. I continue to want to eat every day, so that didn't change. You kind of got to want to get the basic necessities. So I got into health insurance, did really well there. Feel like I was just blessed. He just put his hand on what I was doing. And that's really kind of how I learned a lot more about business, how to, market and get an LC and how to handle your money and, how to have, business finances with your personal finances. And, my prayer every day for so long, Tiffany, has been in First Chronicles, where it talks about Jabez and writing that enlarging my territory and keeping your hand upon me that I might not cause harm. And he granted Jabez his success. And I feel like that has been a manifestation of that prayer that I prayed to start my day each day, because to go back over a decade ago in 2012, 2013, and, filling in that gap where, I lost that job that was that particular 9 to 5. And I'm like, I just want a job. I want to be regular. I want to be like everybody else. I want to just go out and work my job and come home and leave me alone and do what I do. That's all I want. And he was like, no, I want more. I don't want more. I just want what I want. You don't understand. It's stressful. So, he was really just wanting to give me more than what I was wanting and thinking. But at the same time, I was reading the word. I was believing what the Bible said. And so I was praying prayers despite, what my initial thoughts in my flesh wanted was to be something more. And it was a process. And once I realized that I had the ability through going out, getting clients of my own, I wasn't restricted to a 9 to 5. I had to be there at a certain time, leave a certain time. And, I got customers based on what I was given. They always say you work harder for yourself than you do working for anybody else. And, and that proved to be the case, but it's also more rewarding, more fulfilling. Got an opportunity to travel and, go places that, I would have never thought that I would go. Gone to Hawaii a couple times and, it was just an amazing experience, and spent time in Africa and just, doing a lot of cool things. But I say all of that because it gave me an opportunity to apply a principle that I've always heard. And that is to pay a little something extra on your mortgage. And once I kind of got caught up to speed, because when you start off working for yourself and you already, robbing one to pay the other, and once you kind of get that resolved and you stop making, the Dollar Tree your destination for all your grocery needs, you kind of get to a place where you can put something back. And I got accustomed to being able to read an amortization chart, found it for my home while I was on vacation in Myrtle Beach one few years back. And that was kind of how I spent my down day that particular day. And once I kind of realized that I was in a position where, you know what, I actually got a cheat, that all I have to do is just follow this chart. And this particular date down here at the bottom says this is when you'll be done. Like, so now I got a guide. Like, I have something to work towards that can allow me to pay this amount. You get that amount taken off. Pay this versus your interest versus the principal. It gave me a timeline to have it done, and I was working towards it. It was like, I guess that was like 2020 maybe. And the goal was to have it, it was like July of 2020, and maybe it was 2021. And the goal was to have it retired, that home mortgage paid off by like November 2022, December, somewhere along those lines. I ended up, by the grace of Most High, getting it done like less than a year. Took about 9 months. So by about April of 2022, it was done. Got the mortgage in my hand. And so I paid a house off, and it was a pretty cool feeling. A 30-year mortgage got paid off in about 15 years. I'm like, this is crazy. This is pretty cool. I'm in my 40s, and, what am I going to do? I have a business that is providing me with streams of income and an opportunity. So during that time frame, while I was working on paying the house off, paid my car. I had 2 vehicles, paid those off, paid off my credit cards back. So essentially debt free. Student loan, took the C-19, took care of any payments on that at the time. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll roll with you. If that's what y'all want to do. Okay, fine. I'll go ahead and not pay it. I was at a place where I'm like, I'm really wondering what I'm going to do from this spot moving forward the rest of my life. What is my life going to look like? And I often say that, if a tree falls in the forest and you're the only person there, does anybody hear it or know what happened? And I felt like this event in my life, like I recognized, I was aware of the moment and what had transpired, that this is probably pretty something unique. And so my first thought, me being Robert, I said, let me see if I can run the table again.
Yes.
And run the block. Let's see what we can do and make this thing happen. And so I don't necessarily advise everybody to do this, Tiffany, but I lived in this small kind of country town in here in Georgia, right outside of Athens. It was a very cute, ranch style home that I'd sold. And I never would have thought that I would have sold. But it was something in the moment, and it was something all about understanding real estate. You don't just purchase properties to just live in. You can, but that is not the only reason why you purchase real estate. It turned out that was my biggest financial come up. That was my biggest investment for the most return on an investment that I made. So you're living in a house and you're paying a mortgage on something that you can sell it now, you can sell it later, but you're really just putting money up for something that's going to benefit you down the road. I mean, nobody can take it away from you. 2008 happened, and of course, the value of homes plummeted. That home in 2010 was worth $60,000, $55,000. I'm like, well, at least I got a roof over my head. And so again, it taught me something. You never know what the market and what real estate is going to do. That same 50,000, 55, 60,000 home that got appraised at 8-9 years earlier, 10 years earlier, then appraised at 240, 250. And absolutely. I'm talking, just a small community, you passing by a couple pastures to get out of my subdivision. And I think one day I came home from work, there was a cow in my backyard. I don't know if I was dreaming that or that. I try to block stuff out of my mind because I'm just not sure. But that just kind of tells you, how rural it was. But it was an up and coming community.
Right.
It was a connector from Atlanta to Athens, and I purposely kind of positioned that self because I was forward thinking at the time of, it's hard to get a home mortgage to begin with. You work in the industry and it could be a struggle for individuals to even get approved for a mortgage. And so when the vehicle that I saw the value in presented itself, and grateful to at that time to have parents to give me a little bit of the down payment to help me get into it, because again, all of these things were lessons for me, because there are others that, and if I can just have the down payment, I can work with the rest. But so many things that you need pay stubs, you need all of these things. So I guess I just really saw the value in each step of the way, and I did ignore it, because I've just always heard stories of people that just were in different situations, that fortunately I did not necessarily have to walk through. And so I guess in my way, it's to pay others back that kind of had to come up a different way and get it out of the mud in a different way.
Right.
But it all worked out, and
Yes.
yeah,
I love that.
it did.
And there's so much here that I wanna unpack, because one, the fact that so there's so many things that come top of mind. First, you mentioned how your job is truly a setup for you to then replicate in your own practice. And so you are getting to see, and I think a lot of us, we can miss that opportunity when we're still working full time, and it's just like something we got to do somewhere we have to be. But if we actually will take a bigger view at it and look at how is this place operating and functioning, and how can we do something? It may not be on that same scale, but we can do this same thing, and we are actually getting firsthand experience on how a business is set up and how it's run. And so I love that thinking that you had of how you could implement that yourself. So that's super cool. Then also on vacation, Rob, you in Myrtle Beach.
I know I have such a sad
and you
existence.
reading amortization
I'm
tables?
looking outside my window at the Atlantic Ocean, and I got the window open, looking at this chart, like trying to make sense of my life. But that's just how my mind operates.
But I love it. I love it though, because you are at a place of peace, and it's giving yourself the freedom to dream bigger, to think bigger. And so to be able to cut that 30-year mortgage in half, that's amazing. So tell us a little bit about the discipline that it took to be able to do that.
Tiffany, you raised such a great point. It was in that space, it was in that moment that I was able to do just that. And that was just kind of one of those things, working for myself, being able to kind of steal away and go to places without having to be back at a certain time and dreading going back, because I enjoy working with my seniors with healthcare and doing all of that. But being able to be there in Myrtle Beach and having that sunshine and just the water and just that peace, to be able to really come up with a strategy. And I feel like it was absolutely divinely downloaded. I didn't show up necessarily to be able to review how I'm going to get out of debt. It was just something that in that moment, I'm like, all of this time. So I feel like it was something that you have to really commit to. It was important for me. It was important for me to finish the deal. So prior to that moment, when I started working with Allstate, it was in the fall of that previous year. So I left that piece out. So I was working for myself, and then I took this position working in sales with Allstate. And that's actually what accelerated my ability to do more. And to your point, sometimes we kind of look at our places of where we work as kind of like we begrudge it, and why I got to get up and do this. But jobs are our first business partner. They are a blessing. They are something that how we look at these things and how we look at our work in our day to day is really what we get out of it. And when that check from that corporate got added to what I was already doing, I'm like, oh, it's up. I mean, what are we talking about? It's all the way up. I'm like, I didn't necessarily graduate, at the top of my class, but I know how to stay on top of stuff that's pretty simple, and more money to lessen these bills kind of equal Rob smiling bigger. So So that's what I did. That's kind of the key, and that's what I like to coach people around and share. Now that I've kind of come to that realization that
Mm-hmm.
there is more to working and to having a strategy than one can realize. But you've got to get a plan in place, and you have to have something to unlock your natural gifts and talents so that you can find some other streams of income that can allow you to be able to live the life and find fulfillment in that abundant life that the Bible speaks of. I kind of did it in reverse, sort of, kind of in between working 9 to 5. I got involved in working for myself and then went back to corporate. And the beautiful thing about it, once I paid all those debts off, I could have quit right then and there and then lived off of the business that was created and was made available. And so I felt like there was something, and I wasn't really sure what it was, other than when I was down, like when the market was down, and the home's only valued at 60,000, and I had more debt than dollar to take care of my day to day. It became important for me to never find myself in that place again. So I think that was really where the discipline came in. Like I'm I'm in a very favorable moment in my life. Like the work is going well. I seem to be pretty good in this particular industry of insurance. I need to capitalize on this. You never, the markets did what it did. Now we're living in this moment at that time of COVID and all this stuff. You just never know what the future's gonna hold. So the time is now, and so I just executed. Never really considered myself as somebody as a big executor. I'm just like, I'm not gonna sit here, but the being an executor now is just kind of like this verbiage that kind of is out there. But I've just always been that way. I'm not. I got eyes. I got breath in my body. I got a driver's license. I can get out here and operate a vehicle and go somewhere and do something. I got lights in the house, internet work 100% of the time. Well, 95. When you pay your bill, the internet work, you wake up to that every day. So yeah, I just took advantage of everything that was in front of me. And on the other side of that was all this abundance of opportunities that I would have never in a million years thought that I was going to be able to be a part of.
Wow. Wow. I love that. That's amazing. And I love the fact that you did not allow lifestyle creep to take advantage of this increased income that you had coming in. But you mentioned you had to be strategic. You had to have a strategy and be committed to that strategy, because it's real easy to be like, oh, I'm up, so I'm outside. We buying this, we doing this, we going here. But let me focus on this. So, and you mentioned when there was more debt than dollars, to never recreate that pain that I was in that situation. Let me position myself in a better way moving forward. So that's really, really telling of just the character that you have and the foresight of what you can do with your real estate.
Tiffany, is one of those things where I've never really been a flashy person that I had to have the latest of anything. Again, I bought that primary home, 125,000. I could have gotten more, but in the back of my mind, I always just had, I don't even really know, other than it was divinely given to me by the creator, by the Most High, that there's something else other than I need you to just live here in this particular community, this spot. There's something, and I mean, even before I started house hunting for that first house, I'm like, I'm gonna pay this house off in like 7 years, and then I'm gonna like do something else. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, how do I even know to do this stuff? So I know it's always been him. It's been the Father that's been ordering my steps and guiding me. On the other side of paying those debts off and getting that mortgage in my hand, and it was really looking at that amortization chart. Once I saw it for my home, I mean, I looked at it all the time. I mean, it was just like, oh, let me see. Okay, let me do this. And when I was able to manage my budget, and that's kind of key. When you're able to manage your household expenditures and not allow these additional expenses that I'm now creating because I got this extra money. Oh, well, let me go out and buy a new car. I need a newer car to get this. I need to get this and
Yep.
that. I need a big, that's when you mess up,
Yeah.
right? That's when it's like you hustling backwards, and you never realize what you could. And once I paid everything off, I took a trip to Jamaica, and that's when it really kind of hit me because I was on vacation, and one did something I never done before. I was sitting in the very first seat in first
Come
class.
on,
Like when you
first
walk in there,
class.
you look at that
1A.
person and you kind of you turn your nose up like I don't really see you. I'm looking at you. I'm like what is this? And while I was there, I'm just walking around, and just the sense of when you don't have a lot of debt on you, you breathe differently. Like I, I started like physically you just don't know what you're carrying. Just the stress of going in and out of work every day, dealing with people at work, outside of your work, just the community and just life, just what all it takes just to be, adults having to take care of things in life. And now I understand what the Bible says, you owe no man nothing but to love him because and it also says godliness with contentment is of great gain. And to be able to, so while I was there, I was like, I think I want to like get a massage on the beach, and I was going to buy something. I'm like, oh yeah, but I gotta, and I was like, wait a minute, I gotta what? I was like, I'll be doggone, I ain't got
Come
to
on,
do nothing because
freedom.
everything paid
Yes.
for. I'm like, what? What is this now that thou is feelings this? And it just, and then it was like, okay, something is bigger than me because I just don't believe this is happening with all these L's that you've taken just in life to get to this point, that there's not something bigger going on in you and in your existence of being here on this planet. It just really became paramount that I didn't just go away somewhere. Like, I'm going to be that person like you never, you don't know how your neighbor do what they do. They just chilling and do stuff. You're like,
Yep.
who is this person? I'm like, there's more. Our community needs more. They need to know some things. They need to be exposed to some things
Right.
that it's the obvious, but until you execute, you don't know it's possible because they're, going to Jamaica, buying stuff and going somewhere, paying for stuff in cash. Went to Jamaica that year, went to Dominican Republic a few months later. These things were things that there was a time where it wasn't even remotely possible. I couldn't even pay to go to the end of my driveway to my mailbox, and so to be able to say these things are happening, like somebody needs to know, and I need to see if this thing is just some fluke. Is it just something that independently happened to me and it, once in a eon that it's going to happen? And so I realized that there was, in fact, a blueprint that almost is invisible, but there's just some steps, and cannot say that there's anything tangible, natural, without first giving credit to the supernatural. Because if the Most High doesn't like put His grace on your life and give you the mind that is only going to be you and Him that's going to have this thing going on, and that you truly are committed to His purpose and the plan that He has for you, all these other things, you can have stuff, but will you have peace?
Yeah.
Will you have the ability to impact other people in a positive, honoring way? And I moved out of that community and moved into a place that one thing about wherever you live at, you can live anywhere you want to live. But I live in a place now that it really speaks to what I want to accomplish on this particular level. It's a community that I was walking to the mailbox last night, And I thought about, it's pretty cool for people in our community, in our nation, to live a certain place. That's probably honor did it. But then I thought to myself, why wouldn't we? We should be able to live wherever we want to live. And we're not doing anybody any favor to move someplace. Like, that's our inheritance. That's our birthright to live. So if you want to live in a $100,000 home, or 500, a million, you live wherever you want to. You just be that one who knows, who has a plan in place to be able to cover the spread and be responsible with the resources you've been given.
Right.
So,
okay. Now let's talk about this blueprint. You mentioned, so you wanted to know if this was a fluke just for you, if this is one time or not. Mm-hmm. So is there specific steps that you would recommend people take, or what does that look like? Hey y'all, Tiffany here. Are you looking to purchase or sell real estate? As you know, I'm your aid to assets, and I want to help you with all of your real estate endeavors. Whether you're local here like me in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, I can then help you purchase or sell your next property. If you're looking to purchase or sell outside of North Carolina, let me know too. I can still help you. I have a team of agents all over the country that I can connect you with to partner on your next deal. Let's get to the closing table, y'all. We buy our way to wealth, whether that's buying right or selling better. Can't wait to hear from you. Click on the link in the bio if you want more information on how to personally work with me or an agent on my team. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, such a great question. I do. I feel like there's one. It's almost like when we were in college, we heard about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and studied those different leadership principles. There's like a hierarchy for me, and the foundation, the base for me is a relationship with the Creator. And I feel like when you have surrendered your life to Him, and for me, I'm not talking about, I grew up in the church, and although my heart was geared towards things in church, for me, it was more of when it shifted for me in 2019, 2020, it became more of a relationship. And I think 2020 and COVID and all those things where people were kind of not having to attend and be in the physical space, that a lot of people were able to develop their own relationship and grow. I got into reading the Bible and all the books that were taken out of the Bible, and it really grew my relationship. And it did a change and a transformation in my heart. And I think when I did that, when I was totally sold out, as Joshua says, as for me at my house, I don't know what you're going to do over there, but for me at my house, we're going to serve the Most High. You know what I'm saying? And when I made that commitment to everything just like changed. And I woke up different. My outlook was different. Everything just became so much more meaningful. The words on the page in the Bible just kind of like jumped off the page and just like, pew, 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 was just hitting me all in the face. And I'm like ducking and dodging. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is relationships. Sometimes family members and friends can have or not have the best intentions for you, but you got to know who you are. You got to know who you are, what you've been called to do in this generation. And I feel like so many people are generational curse breakers right now. They're individuals in their life that they're going to be the first millionaires in their home. They're going to be the first person in their 20s or 30s or 40s to pay off a house and have streams of income coming in where it's optional if you want to go on somebody else's job and work because you got your own business. So that was really something that was key for me, getting a network of people around you that can help you grow your vision. Environment matters. Environment absolutely matters. In the last 3 or 4 years, I met individuals like you who are go-getters and who go out here and put their money where their mouth is and have big visions and inspire people, inspire me, and inspire people, inspire other people. And when you get around a community of people who are go-getters, who are executors, who have visions that are bigger than themselves, they're able to partner with other people and expand on a kingdom connection that is really what it's all about. It's expanding the kingdom. And when you seek ye first the kingdom, then all these other things are going to inevitably, again, it's going to get added unto you. And the word works if you work it. But then unlocking these other things, like what is my job? And you were sharing this earlier. What is my job showing me that I'm good at? What are my gifts and talents that I have that I can take outside of this work? Because if you hadn't fired me, you keep keeping me around day after day, year after year, you obviously must think there's something that I'm good at that I can do. And honing those skills and taking those things outside of work and your natural inclinations that are intuitive to you, that you have in your heart, being able to get a strategy. And if you can't find it yourself, having somebody who can coach you through these things and help unlock these things to boost your ability to make more money. And then what are you going to do with that money? Now that you have the gifts and the talents unleashed, now that you are in the right network and community of people, what is your plan? What do you want to do with this expanded group? Now that you're in the right environment, you got rid of Tay and everybody, and you've been able to get some folks that that I still love you, but this is what I have to do, and it's usually something bigger than yourself. When that download that got put in me in 03, 04, 05, when I purchased that first, I didn't know why I kept feeling like I'm gonna pay this off and I'm gonna do this. But now when I look back 20 years later, now I realize the tenants and those people who needed my yes to be able to provide housing or commercial spaces and be able to have them and clean, safe, affordable. It's been bigger than me, and it's becoming global now, because as things progress outside of the continental United States, and now you're on different various continents, closing deals and providing opportunities, you realize, okay, there's some things that you can't, you just write the vision and make it plain, and they who see it will take it and they'll run with it. And so that's kind of what's happened. So it's just been a whole life transformation that has created a strategy for me that now, as my own, I guess, test subject, has seen that it works and that it can work. And I just find myself just thanking and giving praise earlier today of the people in my life, that if it wasn't for this person, I wouldn't have met this person. And we need people in our lives who can inspire us, who are just as determined as we are, who have done it on a bigger level than we have, to be able to let you know it's possible and that you can achieve things. And talking and being around people in Atlanta, like I didn't necessarily even know that there are people that our age and younger that could be millionaires. Like, only person I knew was Bob Johnson and BET. And, I couldn't even conceive that was possible. Like, what are y'all doing to be able to be that, to have that happen? Like, what is going on? And to now be in the kind of environment, in the rooms with people where, it's happening, and it's happening in a big way, and it's common in some places. And so, it takes, I can't be somebody else, but I can be the best version of me. And at the end of the day, if those receipts total, whatever that, a millionaire status, whatever amount that it is, I'm here for it.
Wow. So y'all, so let me make sure I got this right for the listeners, Rob. So it sounds like it's just such a beautiful transformation, because you can hear in your story, it was less about what you needed to do and what you needed to acquire, and more about who you needed to become. Right. And so it sounded like good. You started with this relationship with God and really quieting everything else and really locking into him, and then most importantly to you and him. And so he can tell you who you were created to be and what you were created to do, not what the world had already said or what past experiences and all the things that kind of impact that. So it started with that relationship with God, which inevitably strengthened your relationship with yourself, which then led you to auditing the relationships in your life because you needed people that were going to inspire you to dream bigger, to be bigger, but also make sure, my coach says, it's not always elimination, but it is often limitation. Right? There are some people we just have to limit our exposure to them and their exposure to us because we're just going down different paths. And from there, we hone into those skills and commit to a strategy.
For sure.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
That's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the right person that you are, becoming that person, and you I could not have said it better. You said it so eloquently. It was all about becoming the person that I was inevitably meant to be, and I struggled for so long, attempting to figure out who am I? Like, what am I put here to do, and what's the vehicle that ultimately was going to get me there? And that was so key for me, because I'm getting in all of these different things, and it's not taking me to my destination that I have in my mind, in my vision, in my spirit. But ultimately, when I got along with the Creator and got along with the Most High, He showed me Himself in me and my ability to be able to reflect His goodness, His righteousness to the world. And then He began to give me those strategies and the downloads and the disciplines that was needed. And you're right, locking out all of those other things that were hindrances. And as men and women, as people, we can have a lot of distractions that can take us away.
Especially in this day and age.
Oh my goodness. All we got to do is just raise our phones up in the middle of the night, and we got the whole world in our palm of our hands, these mini computers. So much, but it was so elementary and basic. And I think about, our fathers of the faith, and they had so little, and a lot of it was just going away. You got to do this. The Messiah went away and got to a quiet place. And a lot of those things were really just being reproduced in my own life, getting in environments where, once getting clarity on my own, when I got in these environments, everything and everybody's words wasn't taking me here, there, and everywhere. And I think that was a big thing for me. When you don't know who you are, anything come out somebody else's mouth that sounds hype, that sounds good, they're excited about it. They want you to be, of course they want you to be excited about it, because they want you in some sort of way to get involved in them. But when you find out that what makes you excited, what makes you passionate, and what's going to make you go and never cut off, and you got to go sit down somewhere and stop doing the most. When you get to that, then you found it, and then you're able to take others on your journey. And I get it now. So it's not always about somebody wanting to gimmick you. People are genuinely passionate about things that they found that has really benefited them and blessed them. And when you have voices of people that sometimes are close to you, that can almost take the place of God and the Most High of really speaking to you, right? Because they have their thoughts, but sometimes their intentions are clouded in their own apprehensions, their own fears and failures of what they could not have, and what they don't necessarily know the power of the Most High is able to do through somebody when you are empty and a willing vessel. So, yeah, it's played itself out in my life, and yeah, I feel like it's a winning formula.
I love it. Y'all put in the chat, winning formula. It's a strategy, and success leaves clues. And so in looking at what people do consistently to be successful, and we just copy it, like, don't reinvent the wheel. So I want to switch gears a little bit now, because you mentioned the importance of, once you were able to lock in and who you are and what God was calling you to do, was getting in the rooms. And so you have now partnered on a couple of deals where being in the room has allowed that opportunity to be fruitful for you. So people can be really nervous about that and partnering with other people, especially, how we get when we start talking about money. So How do you vet the deals that you're going to partner in with others on? What's that process like for you?
Oh, it's such a great question. Well, it starts with the individual. Integrity matters. And it's like you just shared, looking at their history of success. We live in an age where you throw something up online and you can look like just success right on one click. But it is, you have to show me something that says, I've done this, I've done it the right way, I've taken enough people, first myself, through this process where I've made it happen. I've had those receipts to be able to say, hey, I'm an authority to be able to navigate and guide you through that. But I think ultimately it starts with a combination of here's an opportunity, but does this really line up with what you had in your heart to begin with? Like, is somebody telling you this is good, or is this confirmation to something that you've already prayed about, you vetted in your own spirit? This is something that didn't just show up last week, and because you ran into these group of people, like now all of a sudden this is something you want to do. Like there's most of the things, or all of the things that I've done up to this point. Before I started with, I got involved with Terry Smith and her program. Like I already had a desire to want to take a housing community where, across the street from where I grew up at, my hometown of Aiken, South Carolina. I said, you know what? One day I'm going to take that apartment complex and I'm going to own it. And I'm going to revitalize it. I'm going to refurbish it and I'm going to make it mine. And I'm going to make it look the way I would want it to look for the residents to be able to live there. And lo and behold, then when I lived in another community, I saw a newspaper clipping hotel that was going to be turned, I think it was like a Holiday Inn, that was going to be turned into a residential apartment living community. And I was like, that's what the vision has been. And so that clipping was in like December. And then January, I saw this property challenge and got into it and hearing about ultimately what was wanting to be done. And I'm like, they didn't give me this vision. I carried it into this room and they only put seasoning on it and they put fire under it and they stirred the pot. And so it added to what I already had in my heart. So I don't let other people put things in me that it didn't originate from something that got downloaded into my spirit. I only wanted to confirm it. I want to see that those individuals are doing it from the right place in them. You don't have no skin in the game and you're not concerned one way or the other about the heart of the people that you're working with. Like, I don't want to be involved with that because people are my purpose. And when you are working with individuals and it's like, well, forget them. They don't need to have this, that, and third. They're good. It makes a difference. Even internationally, working with other people, when if they're not living there, they're not on the ground. They're like, if they hadn't took the risk of saying, I'm going to leave America behind for now and I'm going to make a life over here, and it is possible. I pay mortgage here, I pay rent here, so I know it's possible. Like, what are you talking about? You live down the street from me, down over in Buckhead, or down over there by the airport. You live off Old National. People are willing to say, hey, I'm putting it all out here on the line, and I'm inviting you over for an opportunity to see what you think about it. If you like it, good. If you don't, awesome. I know what I'm going to do with this leg of my journey in my life. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let me think about this. Let me process this. And then every time you turn around, Dubai, I'm going to go to Dubai. I'm going to do this. I'm going to Dubai. And I'm like, well, it really probably, it's like getting in New York or California or Paris or, an international city before it became or in Atlanta, in Buckhead, before it became whatever it is. And that's just kind of having the vision and being able to study a market for whatever it is that you're interested in, whatever field that you want to invest in. I just happen to really like real estate. I like living in a home. I like being able to build it out, maximizing it. I love keeping the lawn looking good and just having it being appealing, and then putting it on the market and selling it and seeing what else I can do. So aligning myself with people who are really excited about it and giving me the opportunity to say, okay, well, how about, have you ever thought about this? Because this is what we're doing with this. And I'm like, well, I have never really thought about that. Well, here's how you go about doing it. You partner with people. You do this, you get a group of investors together. Y'all talk about it, you strategize it, take one from it out of the bunch, or y'all collectively come in and you do it together. So I've done it multiple ways. And, to be able to get checks, Tiffany, like I got checks this past week, right? And, I don't work my health insurance business as much as I did a few years ago. And I was like, this check ain't like what it used to be. I'm like, yeah, but then I got this other check over here that's replacing that money there. And I don't necessarily have to work for this one where I work for that one. Now I get brick money. And this brick money, it's not too bad. And it aligns with how I've been able to have some semblance of success in my life. So again, it's all about that alignment. And if your heart doesn't condemn you, Bob says, neither do I. And sometimes you just have to do a heart check. Are you in line with what it is that you, in your heart, that nobody else has to convince you of? You don't have to have all these back and forth conversations. And I'm not going to say, me and you've had this conversation. I'm not going to say that the risk isn't still there, that the anxiety is not real, but what risk of any real reward isn't that way? Like you go off to college, or, you take this job somewhere else, or you leave one place and go work, everything involves a risk. You don't know how it's going to turn out. But you have some sort of groundwork, something a way that you vet. You have conversations, you have other trusted advisors who've done it. And that's why mentorship and coaching is so effective and impactful, because it takes a good person, an advisor cares about the individual, the group of people, that I don't want you to have to get it the way I got it. I want to show you that there is a better way, right? There's a more efficient way of doing something. And that's what getting in the right rooms do. And sometimes you pay for those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Me and Rob, but something I want to make sure people don't miss that you just said, though, it's the fact there's so many. So first of all, we just gonna already have to bring you back. Like, let's just go ahead and put that on the record. I've already talked your head off a little bit, and we almost an hour in. We're gonna bring you back because we also got to tap into this event space. But something I don't want people to miss that you said was you have to be clear with yourself so that you are looking for confirmation. Mm-hmm. And not just, and so you're getting confirmation, not just someone is steering you in a direction that you didn't even think about or know about. That is huge, because you can't get confirmation if you don't know what you're looking for.
For sure. I'm going to be honest with you. I think probably the biggest game-changing moment in my life is when I quit caring about what other people thought about the decisions that I was making. When you become a grown man and a grown woman, you cannot continue to live your life for other people. Like, you have to make a decision, right? You gotta determine that for the Most High I live. And like, there's nobody, there's nothing, there's no one. Like, when his voice speaks, like, you gotta be sure. And the only way with any relationship is you got to spend time with people. And when you hear a particular person's voice, you don't even have to know, like, they walk up behind you like, hey man, I know that voice. That's the sound I ain't heard that voice in 20 years, And so it's that kind of intimacy in the relationship that when you go and start making deals with other people, like, that voice is gonna come to you like, okay, that's the right move. You need I'm good with that. that might be good for them. That may not be necessarily good for you, what you need to be doing right now at this time. And so, yeah, it's really just being sure about knowing that what you are hearing and what you are listening for is the right, because what might be right for Tiffany may not be right for Rob, and vice versa. What might be good for me may not make sense for you. Doesn't mean it's good, bad, or different. It just means that this is aligned with what you're called to do, what you're charged. And again, outside of me, what's going to be the move for the people that need what this moment and this move is going to take? Because on every decision, there is a person or people assigned to that particular decision that you make. Whatever you do, whatever your yes is to something that's bigger than you, when you get in alignment, people are waiting for you to show up, and they're like, I'm so glad that you decided to say yes to this. Oh my goodness, like you're the perfect person. I would not have, but every time I see you, every time I see that smiling face, I want to, it just motivates me all over again. So that matters. That makes a difference.
Our yes, y'all, our yes is the answer to somebody else's prayer. Our yes is the answer to someone else's prayer. Rob, this is why I do this show, so that y'all can meet my dope friends, because they are absolutely incredible. Rob, tell the people how they can tap in with you and get some more of this wisdom.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm on IG, so it's at Rob Stallworth. So definitely feel free to connect with me. I love to have you. I'm getting to a point where I'm posting pretty regularly, and love to connect with you there. I do have a coaching program, so you can go to my website. You can learn a little more about that. It's called wholemen.com. Love to have you there. And of course, I'm on Facebook and all those other TikTok. So yeah, definitely feel free to check me out on social media. And, I've greatly enjoyed myself, Tiffany. You are an amazing person, and I love what you're doing. I can't tell you that enough. And I just want you to keep on keeping on, because you're blessing a lot of people with your light in your life.
Thank you so very much. Y'all, Rob's information will also be in the description, so definitely be sure to tap in with him, follow him on all the social medias. Man, get into the coaching. Like, there is so much wisdom and value here. But for real, though, can we get you to come back so we can talk more about commercial real estate and event spaces and all of that?
Oh, 100%. I'd be more than happy to come back. You just tell me when.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. Well, thank you again, you all. This has been another incredible episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. We're going to see you at the closing table. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of Aid to Assets. Remember, your journey from 9-to-5er to successful real estate investor is within reach. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep investing in your future. If you'd like to know more, connect with me on Instagram at Aid to Assets. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, happy investing.